If you've been scrolling through endless laptop listings, feeling the pressure not to waste money on a machine that sounds great on paper but falls flat when you actually sit down to game or even just edit a video, you're not alone. I get it, the stakes feel high because you're balancing a limited budget with the desire for a reliable, future-proof device. That's why I'm diving into the Lenovo IdeaPad 16-inch with a 120Hz 2880x1800 display, a 6-core AMD Ryzen 5340 and an RTX 5050, to see if it truly delivers on the hype or if it's just another glossy spec sheet. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First, let's talk about who this laptop is actually built for. The sweet spot is gamers who want a portable, high-resolution experience without stepping into the $2,000 plus territory of premium RTX 3060 or 3070 rigs. It's also a good fit for creators who spend a lot of time on the screen, think video editors or graphic designers, because the 2880x1800 panel gives you a lot of real estate for timeline work and color grading. If you're a casual browser who only needs a laptop for email and occasional Netflix streaming, you'll probably find this machine overkill. Likewise, if you're a hardcore esports player who demands the absolute highest frame rates in competitive shooters, the RTX 5050, while respectable, won't match a desktop-grade RTX 3060 Ti or better. Now, the display is the first thing you notice once you crack the lid. A 16-inch panel at 2880x1800 with 100% DCI-P3 coverage and 500 nits of brightness sounds like a dream, and in real-world use it actually holds up. I tested it with a recent indie RPG and a texture-heavy AAA title on ultra settings. The colors stayed vivid even in a bright room, and the 120Hz refresh rate helped smooth out motion without any obvious flicker. The variable refresh rate (VRR) also kept the frame rate stable, preventing the stutter you sometimes get when a game dips from 60 frames per second to 30 frames per second. For creators, the extra screen real estate means you can have your editing timeline on one side and the preview window on the other without constantly zooming in and out. Performance-wise, the AMD Ryzen 5340 is a 6-core, 12-thread processor that clocks up to 4.8 GHz. In everyday tasks, web browsing, office work, even a few Photoshop layers, it feels snappy. When I threw a modern title like Elden Ring at it, the laptop managed to stay above 45 frames per second on medium settings, which is decent for a 16-inch machine in that price bracket. The RTX 5050 with 8 GB of GDDR7 memory does what you'd expect. It handles shaders and ray tracing modestly, but you'll see better frame rates if you dial back some of the more intensive visual effects. That's not a flaw so much as a reminder that you're dealing with a mid-range GPU. It's not built for max-out performance, but it will let you enjoy current games comfortably. Storage is another practical win. A 1TB NVMe SSD means you have space for a large game library, plus the fast read/write speeds translate to quick load times and near-instant game launches. Compared to older laptops that still rely on 5,400 revolutions per minute HDDs or even SATA SSDs, the jump in responsiveness is noticeable. The 16 GB of LPDDR5 RAM, running at 8000 MHz, also helps keep multitasking smooth. You can have a game running, a music streaming app, and a web browser with dozens of tabs open, and the system won't choke. Battery life, however, is where the real-world trade-off shows up. With a 84 Wh cell battery, the claim is roughly 6 to 7 hours of mixed use. In practice, if you're gaming, you'll see the battery drain to about 40% after an hour of continuous play. That's not surprising for a 120Hz high-resolution panel combined with a dedicated GPU. If you plan to game on the go, keep the charger handy, or be ready to swap out for a power bank that can handle the USB-C power delivery. For content creators who mostly work plugged in, this isn't a big issue, but the laptop isn't the best choice for marathon sessions off the wall. Thermals are worth noting. The chassis is a typical slim metal design, and under load the fans spin up aggressively. You'll hear a whirring sound, especially when the RTX 5050 is pushing hard. The heat dissipation is satisfactory. Surface temperatures stay under 45 C on the keyboard area, so typing doesn't become uncomfortable. However, you'll notice a slight throttling after an hour of sustained workload, dropping the CPU boost a bit. It's not a showstopper, but if you need consistent high performance for long rendering jobs, you might feel that dip. Connectivity is surprisingly future-forward. Wi-Fi 7 support provides a theoretical boost in latency and speed, which could be meaningful if you have a compatible router. The two USB-C ports both support power delivery, so you can charge the laptop while also running an external monitor or docking station. The lack of an HDMI port may be an annoyance for those who like to hook up a TV or an external monitor without adapters, but a simple USB-C to HDMI dongle solves that cheaply. Keyboard.